Hello, Patriots. Are you like me? Are you sick of being called a MAGA by these Cheeto eating, underwear wearing, living in their mama's basement keyboard cowboys? Are you sick of hearing the lefties, the loonies, calling MAGA a cult? Well, this video is to educate them. I am Dr. Ken Henry, and this is Conservative Commentary, where we spread the MAGA message. If you wouldn't mind, give us a like, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you get notifications. This really does help us grow and get the message out. Now let's talk about MAGA. There are 5 principles of MAGA. The first principle is America first. Now you would think that would be kind of a no-brainer, wouldn't you? That we should always put America first, but hasn't been the case for quite a while, actually. If you think back to Obama and his 8 years, and then Biden's 4 years of auto-pen presidency, America wasn't first. And it's a shame, but it is a fact that unless we take care of ourselves, we can't take care of the rest of the world, can we? I once worked for the legislature here in Kentucky, and one of the state senators told me, he said, a man that won't help himself can't help anybody else. And he had a point. Now, what are we talking about when we say America first? Well, let's just use China as an example of what has happened, been allowed to happen in China. China, for years, stole our intellectual property and put up trade barriers for American products. And we just let them get away with it. Why? Because we became dependent on their cheap crap that they send over here. And we let them get a handle on the manufacture of pharmaceuticals. It's just nonsensical what we allowed to happen there. Let's talk about NATO. For how long did we go and carry the bulk of the funding for NATO? Well, that's not the way it was supposed to be. It's not the way it was set up, but that's the way it was. Let's talk about trade with Mexico, trade with Canada. It was totally unfair. It was not for Americans. So the first principle of MAGA is America first. The second principle, secure borders. We believe that although we are a country of immigrants, that immigrants should come here legally. And we think it's patently unfair for someone to skip ahead in the line and come to America and uh, enjoy the American way of life when they didn't go through the proper procedures and process. In fact, they have committed a misdemeanor the first time they crossed the border illegally, and the second and subsequent times is a felony. We believe that secure borders are necessary for many reasons. One is to keep the criminal element out of our country. The second is to secure the border so that we can reduce the flow of fentanyl and other lethal drugs into the United States. So, border security is critically important. The third principle of MAGA is that we want to end and never engage in any of these seemingly meaningless wars, unnecessary wars. And they go on all the time. We fought them and participated in wars for ages that we didn't need to be involved in. And then, of course, we left $60 billion worth of equipment in Afghanistan when the Biden debacle occurred. No unnecessary wars. Now, President Trump's done a great job. He's settled 8 wars since he's been in office a short time. This time, of course, we have a big one that's still going on in between the Russians and the Ukraine, and we certainly hope that he can get that one settled as well. The fourth principle of MAGA, jobs. good jobs for Americans, not sending jobs overseas or to Mexico. Think about what President Trump has done in terms of negotiating with tariffs, of all things, and bringing these huge investments back to the United States. The pharmaceutical industry, for example, has pledged billions of dollars of investment to build factories to produce pharmaceuticals here in America. That's as it should be. So, MAGA principles are good jobs for America. Kind of ties in with America first. And then the fifth and final principle of MAGA is free speech. We believe that free speech is the foundation, the backbone of our way of life, our constitutional republic. And without free speech, then the republic falls. You see, the lefties want everybody to be dependent upon the government, and they want to be able to regulate what you can say and what you can't say. And we've seen that raise its ugly head with the Office of, quote, misinformation that Biden tried to set up. And it was all because people were spreading false information about COVID. Who? You know, the 6 foot rule. Let's stay 6 feet away from any other people, according to Fauci, was just made up out of thin air. There was no science behind it. And y'all remember the take the shot and you won't get COVID? Well, take the shot and you might get COVID, but you won't spread it to others. Well, take the shot and you might get COVID, but you might spread it to others, but it won't be as bad. Yeah. What they didn't tell us was that guys my age who took the shot increased their risk of stroke tremendously. So the flow of free speech, the flow of ideas, hash it out. If, and any of you lefties, any of you Cheeto eaters out there want to take me on the principles, I'm glad to engage in a debate with you about the principles. I don't care to engage in your ad hominems or calling me whatever you want to call me. Just scroll on and go bother somebody else. But if you want to engage in a debate, I'm glad to do that. Well, what do you think about the 5 principles of MAGA? Please share your thoughts in the comments.